yesterday's news.
Hello, welcome to Old News, the programme and podcast which looks at news stories of the day through the papers of yesterday. Another of our little specials this week from Here is the News, an illustrated Manx history by our own Terry Kringle amongst other luminaries. And we're going right back, and I do mean right back, to Terry and his colleagues' views on the news in the year 1405. Yes, I know things change slowly in the Isle of Man, but, well. So the headline, New Lord of Man appointed. The court of King Henry IV in London today announced the appointment of a new Lord of Man to take effect later this year. He's 55-year-old Sir John Stanley, head of an English noble family with extensive lands and estates in Staffordshire. We have this report. Little is known in the island about Sir John, but he's understood to have rendered sterling service to the Crown of England, serving in Aquitaine and in Ireland over the last 20 years, and also on the Welsh and Scottish borders. The appointment will consolidate English control over Manx affairs now that the Scots have conceded final defeat. But the Lordship of Man is no sinecure. William Le Scroope, Earl of Wiltshire, who held office from 1392, was beheaded by order of King Henry on the latter's accession 6 years ago. His successor was the Earl of Northumberland, who was displaced last year on being accused of high treason. Sir John Stanley, however, appears to have the King's full confidence. The gift of the island has been made to him on the simple condition that he does homage and gives 2 falcons to succeeding kings of England at their coronations. Sir John is unlikely to visit the island during his reign, and he will appoint a governor or captain to represent him. A spokesman of the Keys said it was hoped that the stabilisation of civil control will enable the state to get back some of the immense power now held by the church in the island. He said the power of the ecclesiastical barons like the Bishop of Sodron Man and the Abbot of Rushen was too great and allowed the Pope clear domination of the Isle of Man. It is expected Sir John will consider having Manx laws written down in future instead of the Deemsters and Keys having to administer them from memory. It is the fact that the Church has had its laws in writing since Bishop Simon's synod at Kirkbraden in 1229 that has given the Church ascendancy over the state for so long. Fascinating stuff, it has to be said. Better justice demanded, we read as well. In the meantime, social reform groups in the island are calling for a major overhaul of the administration of justice. They want alleged offenders and wrongdoers to be called for trial in future by what is described as God and the country. In practical terms, this means trial by a jury. The reform groups say the time for abolishing trial by ordeal and combat, which has been in existence since Viking times, is long overdue. Dare say some people wouldn't mind bringing it back today, who knows. Corn imports. There have been further shipments of corn into the Isle of Man from Ireland in the year 1405. This is the 5th year the shipments have had to be made in order to combat the starvation resulting from the continuing recession in the Manx economy. Well, that's still going on, I think. A Treasury report says the base of the economy needs to be broadened considerably. Too many Manx people's efforts are concentrated in the farming, fishing and labouring sectors, and diversification into new areas of endeavour is badly needed. And a mere 500-odd years later, they started doing the same thing again. Well, more than that, I think, wasn't it? The friars to depart? The oratory established by Franciscan friars in the south of the island 32 years ago appears to have closed down. The buildings they occupied at the village of St Columba in Arbury are now deserted. Some of them have been taken over and incorporated into the small holding that is to be known as the Friary Farm at Ballabeg. Round about Friary Park, I assume, isn't it? Some of the friars are understood to be still on the island, but for how long is not known. The Franciscans are known as Grey Friars or Begging Friars because of the non-ownership of property, and they set up their main oratory for 12 brethren in 1373. It is thought that they hoped to rival in influence the Cistercian monks at Rushen Abbey. We also read in 1405 of compulsory military service. Officers and men from Lancashire, North Wales and other of the Stanley strongholds have been brought to the island to strengthen the defences of Castle Rushen. At the same time, it's been announced that compulsory military service is to be reinstated in the island. All men aged 20 to 26 will have to train as militiamen under the parish captains. They will also have to kit themselves out with bows and arrows, sword and buckler at their own expense. And finally, we read that Scots are to be expelled. A new law is to be drafted to counter any further Scots attempts at infiltration of the island. Under this, all Scotsmen on Manx soil will be obliged to take the next boat home to Scotland on pain of forfeiture of their goods, along with a period of imprisonment. Before the English crown gained its present supremacy over the Scots following the long struggle for control of the island, it's been suggested that Scotsmen should be shot on sight. The Deemsters have ruled against this. It was long held, wasn't it, up until the latter part of the 20th century, never mind the 15th, that you could shoot a Scotsman on sight if he was wearing his kilt on the beach or something similar. But it's not true, children, so don't do it. Interesting about the diversification of the economy, something which we still think about, as I say, 500 years on. Perhaps it's been ever thus. Whichever way you look at it, as you can imagine, it's all old news. Until next time, cheerio. You're gonna be yesterday's news.